What are mitzvahs and why do we do them? Mitzvahs are divine commandments whose value is inherent, that connects us to our Maker. I think I said three things. They're divine commandments, they have an inherent value, and they connect us to our Maker. Let's talk about each one in turn. Mitzvah, divine command. Hashem created mitzvahs. Hashem created mitzvahs means that it really doesn't make one bit of difference if we understand them or we don't understand them, whether they make sense or they do not make sense. When God tells you to do something, you listen. It's common sense. It's further common sense to understand that I don't have to understand the mind of God. God's smarter than me and greater than me, and if He says something and I don't understand it, that's okay. I don't have to understand it. I have to listen. I have to follow instructions. That's all I have to do is listen, folgen. And that's the first thing you have to know about mitzvahs. The way Chassidus explains it. Mitzvahs are called, we had not long ago in Tanya, against Achei Temimim, that mitzvahs are called the Ratzon, that the supernal will. And of course in the Samach Vav, as you may know, that Rebbe Rashab explains that this is called Hagbola Atzmis. It's Pnimiyas HaRatzon. That means mitzvahs by definition don't have reasons. Mitzvahs come down to a level of logic where there's all kinds of different reasons provided. Reasons in Musar, reasons in Chakira, reasons in Kabbalah, reasons in Chassidus. But the reasons come after the commandments, which means the key is that it's chivres ediyarech. It's coming from Ratzon, Keser. It's the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the reasons are not the real reason. Taimei ha-mitzvahs leinis gals. The real reason for mitzvahs you cannot know if you learn the Samach Vav, because there's einig, a-poshot, a-bilti murg, a-bilti murgish klau. It's impossible to know the real reason for a mitzvah. The real reason for a mitzvah is not a tam ve'etzas, not logical, it's an inyan atzmi. So the first thing you have to know about mitzvahs is that they're supernal commandments, how God gave them to us, seriously and really, and He's God, and we're His subjects, and the most important thing is we need to listen. Number two, they have an inherent value. An inherent value means they're non-negotiable. You cannot say, I'll trade you this mitzvah for this aveda, or this mitzvah for another mitzvah. I'll do this one twice and I won't want this one at all. Because we really don't appreciate the why. We only know the what. And we must follow. We must get into our head the idea that when Hashem gives us a mitzvah, even though in America everything has to be explained, and the truth of the matter is, on some level, when somebody asks, you must explain it to them, but we have to know in our own hearts, we have to know the whole truth. And the whole truth is that you cannot explain mitzvahs. It's an absolute will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He gives the instructions, and we listen, we follow, we do what He says. And number three, it connects us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is real. The connection that mitzvahs provide in connecting us to Hashem means having a relationship with Hashem is a hard thing to do. Having a relationship with your wife is a hard thing to do. Having a relationship with your husband is a hard thing to do. Having a relationship with your children is a hard thing to do. Having a relationship with your parents is a hard thing to do. Having a relationship with your siblings, every relationship is hard. But it's a person and a person. Having a relationship with God is extraordinarily difficult. So you can have moments, right? You can fall in love with Eibishter, but you also fall out of love. You can have a period of your life, whether it lasts a week or a month or a year, where you're very, very infatuated with Hashem, but then you get busy. It's not like you principally no longer have an interest in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You practically don't have the time and space and principle, idealism, to quote-unquote care about God. The answer to all of that is mitzvahs. When we do mitzvahs, actions, behavioral actions, rituals, we do them whether we're in a good mood or in a bad mood or in no mood at all. And it keeps us in our relationship with the Eibishter. So when we go through our lulls, when we go through our downs, we're still connected. And when we have another high, there's already an existing relationship. As I explain to my students often, that we talk about the dirtiest word in the English language is organized religion. And the opposite of organized religion is personal religion. And I ask my students, what's wrong with having a personal relationship with God? Why do I have to follow somebody else's rules? And the answer to that question is many things, but one of the answers is if you have Ram Avinu, you can have a personal relationship with God. Personal religion. If you have Ram Avinu sustained it for 175 years, if you or I decided that we're not following the Torah, making our own religion, personal religion, it would last 6 months, it would last a year, it would last a year and a half, it would last 2 years, then it would burn out. And it would also come with some pretty crazy forms that are self-serving and sometimes even evil. That's why you have mitzvahs. They hold us, they keep us in a space. Think of mitzvahs like an atmosphere. Around the earth there's an atmosphere. The atmosphere doesn't let the world get too cold at night and doesn't let the world get too hot during the day. It tempers it. It makes it more or less the same. Mitzvahs keep a yid in a space, whereas relationship with the Eibishter is the same. You can have warmer temperatures, you can have colder temperatures, but it's all tempered by the fact that we have an ongoing relationship based on behavioral performance of mitzvahs. And we got to do all of them. We have to do them correctly. And we have to appreciate that mitzvahs are not a burden. They're an opportunity to connect to Hashem. And in a connection to Hashem, we become a little better and higher.